Hotel is going on all over the country. Paul Bristow, the member for Peterborough, tweeted, I think this was yesterday, last night 80 single men were placed in the Great Northern Hotel. Oh, and no sooner had he tweeted that than we learned that a second Peterborough hotel, the Verve, not as attractive architecturally, not as historic, but that's housing another 54 young men. Paul Bristow joins me now. Basically, you guys and the council don't find out about any of this until it's a done deal.
Well, that's right, Mark. Unfortunately, you were only told about 12 hours before this is due to occur. I sat down with the local council, some of our officers, in the morning. We planned our response because this is a multi-agency issue. We need to talk to the police, we need to talk to healthcare professionals, support services, local charities who deal with asylum seekers and refugees. But what we don't have is the time to do this. And quite frankly, it's a breach of planning law as well. If you're turning a hotel into a hostel, that requires planning permission. And that needs to be absolutely clear. They're breaking planning policy by doing this. But unfortunately, the council has very little time to react, and it's a great shame.
No, that's actually a very important point. Anybody who's had any dealings with planning permission authorities, if they just want to put a granny flat on top of the garage or whatever, knows what that's like. Yet somehow the essential character and purpose of huge public buildings in the heart of town can basically be changed without the council say so. That's
right, and it's not right. And the council did put an injunction. We are going to go to court, but I know several other councils have gone down that route with varying degrees of success. In fact, I think some were rejected only very recently.
Yep, that's just a couple of days ago. Yeah.
That's right. So just give you a little bit of context here. The hotel that I've talked about most openly is the Great Northern Hotel. It's the first thing you see as you leave Peterborough Station. It's the gateway to our city. And this is a smart hotel, often used for weddings, for dinners, for receptions, for that sort of thing. This is not a budget hotel. It's got marble floors, it's got ensuite bathrooms. This has been seen in the past as one of Peterborough's premium hotels. And for that to be turned into a place for 80 single men who have crossed the channel on boats, it's completely inappropriate. And everyone from public health officials to local police to even charities who support asylum seekers agree that this is the wrong hotel in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Now, when you say that, though, you then get insulted by your fellow MPs as some kind of racist. I mean, whatever it is now, 60%, I think, of these people are Albanian, which is the same race as most people in the UK. But for some reason, that's the standard slur thrown at you by opposition MPs.
Well, that's right. Peterborough's got a fine history of supporting refugee families and asylum seekers, over the years. We're well used to doing this. We're already looking after over 300 such individuals. But putting this on top is well, it's stretching resources. But it gets worse than that, Mark. It's not only people telling you that you can't say what you're saying in a really responsible way, saying this is inappropriate. The Guardian today ran a story supported by a Labour spokesman and supported by local Labour councillors in my patch, saying that I and other MPs shouldn't name the hotels. Apparently, we're inciting violence against these individuals.
So what kind of state has British democracy reached then, when thousands of people can be moved into hotels? They're in the centre of town. People notice something is different. They notice that instead of a wedding, there's lots of fit young men hanging around outside. But you're not allowed to talk about it. Why is The Guardian arguing for official silence on this?
Well, you better ask The Guardian, but apparently it's because there was obviously that attack on the centre down in Kent. Obviously, no one's justifying that. That was a totally wicked thing to do, and that individual was wrong to do so.
Well, he's dead. I mean, that's the thing. It's what he did was a slightly more elaborate act of suicide, in which he took himself out but has now become blamed for some kind of mythical terrorist movement.
But there's two or three things to say about this. The first is that transparency is the key to everything. It leads to better decision making. I think it's absolutely right that everybody knows what's going on in their city, insofar as there's nothing legal about it. Secondly, it requires planning permission, as I said. The council would have to announce this because, hopefully there'll be an application to change the use, and so it will become public knowledge anyway. But also, a city centre location for 80 young men is not suitable for the young men themselves either, because they'll be at risk of criminal exploitation, they'll be at risk of other factors. It's not right for the young men, it's not right for the city, it's not right for the taxpayer, and it's certainly not right for the existing asylum and refugee population either.
But the fellows at The Guardian would say, well, you're worrying about what people see when they come out of the railway station. You're worrying about tourism, and this is some, human rights tragedy. Why are you prioritising tourism and whether Peterborough gets to win the Beautiful Britain Award this year, as opposed to worrying about all the human rights stuff?
Well, Mark, what's happening now and what's happened in the past are two very different things. The existing asylum seeker population and refugee population in Peterborough quite often are families, quite often women, and quite often people have been here for some time waiting for a decision. Now, that needs speeding up. I completely accept that. But what we're talking about now is criminal gangs ferrying people across the Channel, typically fit young men. Some people are flying from other parts of Europe to Belgium and then suddenly coming onto the English coast and being ferried across. I don't know what happens to their documentation when they suddenly appear in England. What is happening now is very different, and that's widely accepted and widely understood. So for some people then to turn this into a typical asylum or seeker or refugee situation is completely inappropriate.